This is going to be a continuation of the Callmanager trace reading playlist that I have going on. And in this one, I'll be showing how to look at a call transfer scenario. I'll also be going back to using Notepad++ because although I really do like JEdit, there's just something about Notepad++ that it's hard for me to let it go. I've been using it for years and years and years. So if you're following along on a system that doesn't allow for Notepad++, then you can just keep on using JEdit or whatever application that you enjoy using for reading traces. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the actual analysis of the call and the traces. So the transfer call flow that I'm going to be using from TechInvite is an unattended transfer, more often called a blind transfer. A blind transfer is when somebody calls in and you answer it and you determine that that person needs to talk to someone other than you. So then you call that other person. However, you don't stay on the phone. You just transfer the calling party over to the other person. The other type of transfer is a consult transfer. That's where somebody calls in, they're talking to you, you determine that they need to talk to somebody else. You call that somebody else, get on the phone with that somebody else, and you two talk and you let them know, hey, somebody's on the phone, they need to talk to you. Can I transfer them over to you? And when that person says yes, then you go ahead and you transfer it. That's a consult transfer. So the difference between a blind transfer and a consult transfer is that the person performing the transfer has a conversation with the person that the call is being forwarded to. So if you look here, Alice's name starts with A, Bob's name starts with B, Carol's name starts with C. So we can say, that I'm just going to say, party A, party B, party C. Now, there's a lot different here in how mine is set up, because looking at my call flow that I have for this particular video, you can see that it's A calling B, not B calling A. So in theirs, they have Bob calling Alice. Mine's a little bit different in that way. So then after A calls B, B is going to hit the transfer button. A gets placed on hold. Now we get a new call flow. A is on hold and B is going to call over to C. Then B is going to hit the transfer button again. And the final call flow will be A talking to C. And down here I have the different device information and their IP addresses and everything. And then we also have information about the cluster down here so that folks can go ahead and look through these logs and understand what the setup is like. Moving back to the TechInvite setup, we can see that there should be an invite, then the 180 ring and 200 OK, then an ACK, and these folks are going to have RTP now. They're going to be connected. Then there's going to be a refer due to the call being transferred. And it looks like here that they have Alice performing the transfer to Carol. So Bob is the one that's going to end up being transferred over to Carol. And then here in their flow, they have a notify that's sent all the way up here. I can't remember. There's something, if I remember correctly, there's something different about the notify and the CUCM traces. But this is just Bob is going to use a notify to inform Alice that, hey, I'm trying to contact Carol. And then when Bob and Carol are actually on the call and their session is established, Bob's going to send another notify over to Alice, essentially saying, hey, I'm on the call with Carol now, and you can be gone, right? Again, it's not going to line up 100% with the Callmanager traces, but at least we have a slight understanding of what to expect when we do look in the logs. Let's go ahead and start analyzing this now. We can see that phone A calls phone B. We'll take a look at phone B's directory number, and it is 1014. So I'll hit Control-Shift-F, and I'll plug in this directory here. And we'll put in DD equals quotation marks. And that should take us right to our call, and here it is. Now I want to go to the home portion of it. I'll highlight this and I'll start using some of my macros to mark up what's what. I'll move down the line a little and we'll mark up 1013 with the first style token, since that's the first calling party. And we'll now mark that up with the second style token. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. We have the timestamp and we have the digit analysis. We've marked up the calling party and the called party. And now we can start moving on to getting the first CI. So we'll scroll down just a little bit and we'll look for the DMPID response like we've done in the past. Right here, digit analysis, wait DMPID response. I'll go to the end of the line here and we get our PID letting us know that it's line control. Line control again lets us know that this is going to stay on the Callmanager cluster. It's not going to go out a SIP trunk or any other sort of device like that. It is going to go to a directory number on the cluster. That's what line control means. So let's go ahead and take this CI and mark it up. It's the first CI, so we'll mark it up using the first style token. And the CDCC, the call dependent call control, is important as well. I will mark that up with the fifth style token. And now what we want to do is Control-Shift-F and search on this style token 1. I'll go ahead and collapse the call logs because I want to go down to looking for the first break in the sequence here like we've done before. We want to go down and find the SIP signaling. We can see a 180 ringing here, and we can see that it goes to 192.168.38.35. And if we take a look over here, that's phone A. The reason why it's on phone A is because we looked for the SIP call ID that's associated with the call leg for the phone A side of the call. So I'll go ahead and I'll mark this up to be style token 1 as well. And we'll mark up the SIP call ID also. And I'll do a Control-Shift-F, but I'm actually going to copy this and put on the end of this and say phone A. So now I'll say replace in files. Okay, yes. And it lets us know 31 were replaced. The reason why I did that is because later on, it can get a little bit complicated looking at, which one is phone A, which one is phone B, which one is phone C. So when it's all there in the SIP call ID like that, it can make it a little bit easier to understand what is what. So now we have all of the different things for phone A. And we'll go find the invite. And just like in all of our other calls, we'll mark up everything, right? So inbound. So you can see here I put the marking up here saying that this is an inbound invite from phone A when calling phone B. I'm going to go through and mark up the other messages as well. But to save time on the video, I'm just going to pause the recording and I'll bring it back after I've done the marking up. I've now gone through and marked all of these up with the 5 pound signs and just a quick summary of things. And then I did a Control-Shift-F and I searched for the 5 pound signs. So down here you can see that there's an inbound invite that comes in from the phone that's placing the call. So that's our phone A saying, hey, I want to call phone B. CUCM performs the digit analysis, and then a little after that, we get our CI, line control, CDCC, all that stuff we've already looked at. And then we see that CUCM sends phone A 180 ringing and a 200 OK. So now we know that phone B has actually answered the call at this point. And phone A sends in an ACK to CUCM to finish out that transaction. Shortly after, CUCM sends a re-invite, and this is to tear down the media for that initial phone call. We see it says A equals inactive. So we can assume that at this point, somewhere between here and here, phone B has put the call on hold. Phone A sends CUCM, it's incoming from phone a 200 OK with A equals inactive. So now the media has been torn down for phone A, and we send an ACK to close that out. CUCM then sends a delayed offer to phone A. This is to set phone A up with the MOH resource, because phone A is going to be on hold while phone B is calling phone C. So CUCM reaches out, does a delayed offer re-invite. You can see that there's no SDP or anything. The phone comes back with its 200 OK, and I put a note here, notice the SDP, and what there is to notice is that the SDP is send receive. So CUCM sends the phone an ACK, and if we take a look at the SDP here, it's A equals inactive. That's because CUCM doesn't want the phone to do send receive. What CUCM then does is sends an invite over to the phone, and we can see that it has a multicast IP address. This is because it's going to be MOH. And you can see that this IP address here is actually one of the IP addresses of a CUCM. That's because the MOH server is on CUCM, subscriber, whatever it might be. It's receive only though. Phone A replies to that, and you can see that it's not send receive now, which is what CUCM was looking for with phone A earlier. That's why it had sent this ACK, tearing down that media. So now CUCM sends an ACK in response to that last 200 OK that we had here. And the phone is now receiving MOH from the CUCM as an MOH server. Eventually, even though we haven't looked at it yet, eventually phone B is going to hit the transfer button again, which would then essentially patch through phone A to phone C. And when that happens, then CUCM is going to have to tear down the MOH media between the phone and the MOH server. So we see again another re-invite from CUCM to phone A, tearing down that media, making it inactive. Phone A is going to respond back with a 200 OK to that. CUCM then sends an ACK to phone A, closing it out. And then the CUCM sends phone A an update, letting it know that phone C is now the remote party. We get the delayed offer re-invite again to phone A. Phone A sends CUCM a 200 OK, and we have the SDP here. And then we have the ACK as well. Something to note is that in this ACK, this IP address should line up with phone C's IP address. So 192.168.38.33. Let's take a look at that. It does. And that's because CUCM at this point in the call is allowing phone A and phone C to talk to each other because phone C has answered the call. And then after they've talked for, it looks like 10 seconds, looking down here at the bottom, phone A sends a bye, letting us know that phone A is hung up. Now that we've marked up side A of the call, it's a little bit confusing maybe for some people because you have to imagine what's going on phone B and phone C because we haven't marked them up just yet. Let's now move on to getting the CI for the phone B leg of the call. And then with that CI, we can get the SIP call ID for the leg B side of the call. And we'll mark that up as well. In order to get the CI for the leg B side of the call, we'll go back up here and we'll search on this again. Again, I'll minimize the call logs and I'll just scroll down a little bit until I see the point where the two CIs are associated with each other. And now we have CI2. So we'll mark that up accordingly, and I'll search on this now. I'll hit Control-Shift-F and find all. Minimize the call logs. And then I'll just scroll down a little bit to find here where the outbound invite occurs. So now this is an invite that CUCM is sending over to phone B. Remember, we've taken a huge step backwards in the call. We just looked at side A from the initial invite to being put on hold and listening to MOH, all the way to being connected to phone C and eventually ending the call. Well, right now, we just took a whole step back to the original invite, but we're looking at it on the side B for phone B side of the call. All right, so we have this outgoing invite, and I'm going to mark this. I'm going to make this a style token here. And I'll also mark up this IP address for phone B. We can go back over here and take a look to make sure. Yep, phone B's information, that's right. And just like I did with the phone A side of things, I'm going to search on this SIP call ID. And then I'll pause this recording for now while I go through and mark everything up. I'm actually first going to do the Control-Shift-F here and copy this out. And then we'll replace it in the files just like we did for the phone A side to make it a little easier to keep things clear. So now I'll go ahead and pause the recording and actually mark this all up, and then we'll come back to take a look at things. Now I've gone through and I've marked up side B. You can see a whole lot more of the picture now, and we still have to mark up phone C's leg of the call. But for now, let's go ahead and take another quick look at this. Invite from phone A, digit analysis. CI 1 and 2 are connected. Initial invite sent over to phone B. Phone B starts ringing. CUCM tells phone A to play ringback because phone B is ringing. Phone B side answers the call, so a 200 OK comes from phone B to CUCM. CUCM sends an ACK to phone B, which contains the SDP that CUCM received earlier in this invite, and that's the SDP for phone A, right? So we'll jump back down here. CUCM then forwards the 200 OK on to phone A, and it has the SDP for phone B. Phone A sends CUCM an ACK, and the initial call is set up and everything is working there. Phone B now sends a re-invite to CUCM. And if we go down and look in the call info section of the re-invite, we can see that the call is being placed on hold, and the reason for that is because phone B is transferring the call. So now, like what we saw earlier, phone A is told to tear down its media. CUCM sends a 200 OK about this re-invite up here. Phone B sends an ACK in response to the 200 OK here. Phone A is saying, all right, I tore down my media. CUCM acknowledges that 200 OK. And then we go into all that delayed offer stuff that we looked at earlier, and pretty much everything on this side is all phone A stuff. But then, while phone A is on hold, listening to MOH, phone B sends in a refer to CUCM. And if we go down just a little bit, we can see the refer to header is giving us the directory number for phone C, DM1000. So at that point, that lets us know that the person at phone B pressed that transfer button again, telling CUCM to connect phone A with phone C. CUCM then sends a 202 accepted, and then we start seeing some notify messages. These used to confuse me, a while back. I didn't understand the importance of notifies and subscribes and stuff like that. This is a 100 trying. So this is CUCM telling phone B that, hey, we're trying to get A and C connected. So CUCM starts tearing down the MOH with phone A, and phone A sends the 200 OK to tear down that media. And then there's an ACK to this 200 OK. So at this point, CUCM sends another notify to phone B, and that notifies a 200 OK, inside of a notify message. And then CUCM sends phone B a buy, getting it completely out of the picture. And then now, this is where we see all the stuff on phone A that we already looked at before. To me, we're clearly missing some critical stuff that's going on here. For some other people, maybe they might not notice it yet. But let's go ahead and figure out, how do we get the phone C leg of this call? We know how to get the phone A side. We just look up the digit analysis and find the CI, and then we go through phone A. And to get phone B, we just look up the CI2 using CI1. But how do we get the information for phone C, which will allow us to get a little bit more of a full picture here? And at first, that might seem like a difficult question. But if we go back to this refer, we referred to 1000. So we can just do a DD equals quotation marks on this. And then we'll do find all, and we find our digit analysis here. And then just like what we've done every other time, we just walk through all of this. We get the digit analysis. The calling number is already marked up, and that's phone B's number. We'll go ahead and put style token 3 on this one. And then we walk through this just like we do on all the other calls that we've done so far. Now this is going to be a little bit confusing, because this CI is not actually going to line up to the CI that goes to phone C. This is going to line up with phone B again, because remember that phone A is on hold at this time, and phone B is starting a whole brand new call to phone C. And so I'm going to actually mark this up with the 4th style token. It doesn't really matter what color you mark it up, just as long as you're able to keep track of them. And I'll go ahead and search on this now. So let's go ahead and scroll down. I'll get this piece here. And we'll scroll down just a bit more. And here we can see a 180 ringing being sent to phone B. So we'll go ahead and get this. Before we mark it up, we'll actually change it real quick. So we'll copy this out. And we'll say phone B when calling phone C. Say replacing files, okay. And now I'll highlight this. And then I'll search on the SIP call ID. And we can see there's an invite for 1014. And there's only this single digit here, which was discussed about in one of the comments for a previous video. CUCM, when the phone goes to dial, it sends the first digit dialed if it's not doing in-block dialing. If it's doing overlap sending and receiving, it'll send just the first digit. And then there'll be notify messages that send all the other digits. So we have this invite, and then CUCM sends the phone back a 100 trying. At this point, phone C is ringing, so CUCM sends phone B a ringing message. And then this is normal to actually see this 500 internal service error. Right, and so this is just the transaction of phone's B side calling to phone C. We'll go back to this CI here. We'll find our CI to phone C. I'll highlight this one with style token 3. And then we'll search on that. And let's scroll down until we find the break in the sequence. And right here we have our invite to phone C. So I'll go ahead and I'll change this just like we've done every other time to the other ones. We will replace those in all the files. And now we have that showing here, phone C. And I'll mark the IP address as well. So now we're ready to search on this. And I'll pause the recording again while I walk through and mark this up. All right, I'm now done marking up the phone C side of the call, so we can go back through this really fast. Phone A places a call, so an invite comes in to CUCM. CUCM does its digit analysis and finds some PIDs and all that great stuff. And then we get CI1 for the side with phone A and CI2 for the side with phone B. Using that, we can find the invites for, the invite over to phone B. So if the invite is sent to phone B sends a 180 ringing, so that 180 ring is sent over to phone A to let it know the call status. Phone B sends a 200 OK because the user answers the call, and CUCM sends an ACK to that 200 OK. This ACK contains the SDP for phone A, which was gathered during the invite up here. Now 200 OK is sent over to phone A, and that has the SDP for phone B. There's an ACK sent from phone A to CUCM, and now the call is connected. But then later on, phone B hits the transfer button, and so the call is going to go on hold due to that transfer button. Now media gets torn down, and after the media is torn down, MOH gets set up here. And while phone A is on hold listening to MOH, there's a digit analysis performed because phone B is calling phone C. And what I didn't mark up earlier was that side of the call where we saw the invite come in with just a single digit, which was 1, and then I talked about the notifies and everything. But that's fine. It's not all too important. So now we get the line control for phone C. We have the CI for phone B's side of the call between phone B and phone C. And then we use that to find the CI for the side of the call between phone C and phone B. So now an invite is sent over to phone C because of the phone call from phone B. Phone C says, hey, I'm ringing. Phone B, this user has now hit transfer. And that's where we start seeing phone B kind of get taken out of the picture. We see that phone A starts having the media torn down with MOH. And then, while phone B is gone, phone C gets an update. And that is telling phone C that, hey, you're actually going to be talking to the person at phone A. You can forget about phone B. And phone A also gets an update saying, hey, you're talking to phone C. You're no longer talking to phone B. You're no longer talking to MOH. And then the call goes on to a point where phone C sends a 200 OK because the user answered the phone. Later on, CUCM sends an ACK to this 200 OK. And in the middle of all of that is the exchange between phone A and CUCM, where A and C are being connected. All the 200 OKs and invites and ACKs. And eventually phone A says bye. Now, in our last call that we went through, it was a call being placed on hold. We went through and found the MOH resource and figured out how does the MOH resource get allocated, how does it get identified. I'm not going to do this in this call, but go ahead and try it on your own. And if you're able to figure it out, go ahead and comment down below and let us know that you were able to do it. I think it would be pretty cool to see people actually being able to apply stuff from the previous videos and doing it in these videos now. So that does it for this video, but I do want to mention that this call flow is way more complex than some of the other ones that we've done up to this point. So if there's any questions or concerns, please feel free to put them in the comments of the video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.